What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So today we got some more shocking information because what's happening is the United States, and particularly the Biden administration, they're trying to change the way the American people are looking at the Biden administration. Well, it's interesting how they're going to do that, and I will address that in just a minute. But in doing so, it's going to impact the talks of stimulus and helping out the American people. And again, you're going to think this is shocking, but it's absolutely true. We also know the White House today, they're talking about gas prices, but not necessarily bringing down the price based off of what the White House could do, but talking about how oil companies should be lowering the price of gas. So again, what's going on right now? Honestly, you can't even make this stuff up. But we also got some news on some Ukraine demands, what Russia is wanting, and some daily news regarding COVID as well. So I just want to say thank you guys for watching. If you could, go ahead, hit that like button, but let's get right into the video. Now, today the White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, she had this to say regarding gas prices. She says, if gas retailers' costs are going down, they need to immediately pass those savings on to customers. The invasion of Ukraine and the volatility in the oil market is no excuse for excessive price increases, profit padding, or any effort to exploit American consumers. That is exactly what she said, word for word. But the interesting part about all of this is that the Biden administration has only said that they will continue to monitor the situation. However, they have never said that they're going to pass something to prevent large oil companies from pretty much taking advantage of the American people. So, when they were talking about gas prices, again, and we've seen this so many times, and I hate to bash on a specific party or the president, but we've seen the Biden administration come out time and time again and push the blame over to somebody else. So, it's not President Biden, it's not Russia, and it's not Ukraine. It is the large oil companies that's causing gas to be excessively expensive. It's interesting. And it's shocking that we keep hearing the exact same thing, but it's my fault. It is my fault. I am going to fix it. Here's what I'm going to do. That would be great. And honestly, and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but I think President Biden would get more support. I think his numbers would actually go up if he'd say, you know what? It was my fault. I made a mistake. Here's what I'm going to do to fix it, and actually do it. But let me know. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Do you think that this would actually make him seem, a little more likable if he admitted to something that he did wrong? I think the answer is yes. But again, I could be wrong as well. But here's what we do know. Stimulus to the American people is still being talked about. It is still being talked about, but probably not in the way that you're thinking. Here's what we kept hearing today. What we know is that right now, President Biden is planning on sending Kamala Harris around the United States to talk in specific states about the good things that were passed last year. Keyword, last year. That's a year ago, right? We saw the child tax credit payments. Those are really good. Kamala Harris is going to go and talk about that. How that really helped pull children out of poverty, how that helped parents pay for food, right? Put clothing on their children's backs, keep a roof over their head, right? But that only happened for 6 months. She's also going to go around and talk about stimulus checks of $1,400 and how last year those were passed and those helped out millions and millions of Americans. Well, what about additional stimulus checks? I don't think anything's going to be discussed about that, at least as of right now. Also going to go talk about the bipartisan infrastructure bill and how this $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill is really going to transform the United States. But a lot of that money is still tied up and it's not going anywhere. And this is something that I thought was very interesting, Vice President Kamala Harris's goal is to go around and talk about what could be coming if Democrats remain in control of the House and the Senate. So when we're talking about stimulus from this group of the Biden administration, right? President Biden, Kamala Harris, the stimulus that they're going to provide is, well, we already provided it. Now let's talk about why this really helped. and how this could help you in the future. And again, it's shocking that we are going to bring up stimulus, but we're going to bring up what has been passed before, almost a year ago. That's absolutely insane. But one of the reasons why, according to experts, is Kamala Harris is going to go and talk about these things. Number one, to get certain moderates on board, like Senator Joe Manchin, get him on board with the child tax credit payments, get voters to push Senator Joe Manchin, which would most likely mean she's going to head to West Virginia. Well, the last time this happened, it wasn't on the child tax credit payments. I don't remember exactly what it was for, but Senator Joe Manchin was not pleased. He was not happy that someone was up there in his state trying to rally up the troops, and get them against him. So we'll see what happens here. Something else that happened today is that today Ukrainian President Zelensky actually asked the United States to make air over Ukraine a no-fly zone. He also asked for more planes and jets, and he also said, and he pretty much admitted to the fact that NATO could easily resort to a peacekeeping mission, resolve this Russian war, and by doing so, it would help NATO. It would make NATO seem a little stronger, right? Like they have something in the game here. But he also said that Ukraine is not going to join NATO, which is just another way of getting Russia to back down, because Russia does not want Ukraine to join NATO. But at the same time, when you're asking for NATO to jump in, provide a little bit more support, then you say you're not going to join NATO. It's interesting. Not sure exactly what his thinking was behind that, but it's interesting. We also know that, according to a Russian negotiator, they are saying that Ukraine is proposing a Swedish-style neutral state, but one that owns its own army. Now, that is going to be very tough, because what we know is Russia. They say they want to see Ukraine have a smaller, non-aligned military. Okay, so Ukraine wants a Swedish-style neutral state, but with its own army. Russia, on the other hand, wants a smaller, non-aligned military. You see how this is going to be an issue. Now, what I can tell you right now is that there's a lot of questions, but the questions are over Crimea. They're over the separatist-held Donbas region as well. The good news, though, is the talks are at least continuing. They're expected to continue this evening as well. Hopefully, we get closer to resolution. But according to multiple lawmakers just today, when speaking to President Zelensky, they don't believe that talks are really progressing. And in their mind, they're saying that Vladimir Putin is not negotiating in good faith. But at this time, Russian troops aren't really doing much to show that they're backing down. Because what we saw today, this is very troubling, is what we saw today is that the U.S. reported that troops killed 10 people just standing in a line waiting for bread. They're just standing in the line waiting for bread. And this is stuff that's happening all the time. We see this all over the news over the past few weeks, is that people are just being shot for really no reason. They're not holding a weapon. They're not in any way a threat, but they're being shot at and killed. Now, I also want to get into some COVID news for today as well, because I know a lot of people have been asking, what happened to COVID, right? Where did COVID go? Well, here's what you need to understand, and I understand why people are asking this, because it wasn't very long ago where people were being told by our government leaders, right, that we had to get the vaccine, we had to wear our mask, we had to get the booster shot, right? We need to social distance, we need to not travel, right? All these things. And it seems like now that the government has moved on to something else to get the American people on their side and rally behind them. And at this point, it's the conflict in Ukraine. And so COVID hasn't gone anywhere, but the talks have somewhat been, misleading, misguided, right? They've been there, but they've been really quiet. But here's what experts want us to know. According to multiple health experts, they are saying that this recent surge in COVID cases in Western Europe is making its way to the United States. And we are going to have a COVID surge of our own very soon. But over the past 2 years, here's what experts are telling us. We have seen through the data that as Europe's cases increase, we in the United States tend to follow in cases about 2 weeks to 3 weeks later. So what's interesting is what's going to happen in 2 to 3 weeks. Are we going to see our cases? Are we going to see a surge in new cases? Are we going to see them continue to decline? If we continue to see a decline, that would be good, because that would be one of the first times that the United States has separated itself from what we've seen in Europe. So, as we know any more information on what's going on there, I promise I'll fill you in on that news as soon as we get it. But again, things right now are shocking. It's shocking what's happening over in Europe. Russia could default any day now, okay? Because the payment was supposed to be due today for Russia's bonds. So we're going to see what happens there. We know the Federal Reserve, they raised interest rates today by 25 basis points. The expectation is they're going to continue to do this every single meeting for the next year. So we're going to see what happens, but things are interesting. And as we get more information on everything that's going on, I promise I'll fill you in on the daily news. So just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.